What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Black Professionals Project. My name is Kenton Hipsher, and if you are not familiar, I am the CEO and founder of the project. And our mission is to educate and inspire Black and Brown youths by exposing them to new careers via Black and Brown professionals. And I'm here today with the lovely Black Latina professional herself, Miss Laura.
Hola. Hello, everybody.
Hey, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you coming on the platform.
No, I appreciate being invited. This is great. This is dope.
Of course. And she's here, as you see, in her full-fledged business attire. I'm talking big hair, the classy glasses, the tats, the piercings, the everything. So she's showing you that she can do it all. You don't have to be in a pantsuit or a blazer to be a businesswoman. You could be a businesswoman all the time, no matter what you're wearing.
In your sweatpants.
In your sweatpants, for sure. And one of the things I want to make clear on here, and this is in our description, so you should know this, you know the mission now, is that this organization is called the Black Professionals Project. But the reason why I include Black and Brown individuals is because whenever you're out in this world, they're going to see you as Black. Yeah. No matter how you call it or whatever you do, if you're not white, you're Black. So I include everybody. And we all have the same stories, the same struggles. It just may have a slightly different twist to it or a different slang. So that is the disclaimer I want to put out there. But enough about that. Let's focus on Laura and her awesome professional journey that she is here to share with us. Laura, can you please tell them what your profession is and what industry you work in?
Yes. So I am the Vice President of Accessible Technology for consumer technology for Bank of America. So that means that I help oversee the construction and development of experiences in app and website for our customers that are accessible for everybody, regardless of mental, physical, of ability. So no matter who you are, so that you can take advantage of the resources that we give at the bank and have control of your financials and your life.
Perfect. You're making life easier for us. And I especially appreciate that because it can be a lot trying to deal with finances and all the terms and all the people. And I'm glad that you're making my life easy.
Yeah, and it's a little bit harder when you have some level of disability, right? So I make sure that no matter who you are, you can take advantage of what we have, because that is as essential as anything else when it comes to equity and building wealth, is making sure that anybody can access it and access it in a way that is level and just for everyone. That's what it is.
Yes, and I kudos to you for doing such a thing, because it is a thankless job. I'm sure there are probably not many people who are out there saying, I was using the app, or I was in the store or in the bank, and this is how I felt about this, and I thought this was a great feature. And I'm sure you're not getting a lot of those messages. And if you are, I'd be surprised.
Well, you know what? It's not about the thanking, or it's not really about that. Technology, a lot of people think about technology as something that has leveled the playing field. And I think that's a fallacy. Technology is something that has broadened the playing field. But if you don't have Wi-Fi at home, it's not level. If you don't have a computer, it's not level. If you don't have access to transportation to go to the library, there's not a library in your community. If you are blind and can access a website, it's not level. If you're deaf and can watch a video because it doesn't have subtitles, it's not level. If you have some type of physical disability and you can type, then it's not level. So I work on making sure that it is level, that people obtain what they need because I focus rather on the thanks. I focus on the loyalty, and I do know that the more than technologies and companies understand the intersectionality of their customers, the more loyal that those customers are going to be. And that means that they're gonna keep their money in the bank and compound interest, and are gonna be able to buy a house by themselves, and they're gonna be able to send their kids to college. They're gonna be able to open a bank account. They're gonna be able to do all these things, and to me, that's how they thank me. But this is not something I do for them. This is something I do for me. I have glasses. If I lose my glasses, I turn on the screen reader so I can read my screen. My dad, he's a quadriplegic, so he needs assistive technology. I'm gonna get old, and I'm going to lose more of my sight or my ability to type, and so it's not for them. I do it for me too, and for my community, and for creating wealth.
That's great. That's very honorable. And once again, I want to uplift you and give you the kudos that you deserve for doing that work, because, as an able-bodied person, I may not be thinking about that on a day-to-day basis. But as somebody who's not able-bodied, they are thinking about those things. So it's important for us to make, the world easier and more accessible for everyone. And just want to uplift you for doing that. I really appreciate it. Making the world easier for everybody is something that I'm sure sounds super exciting to a lot of people, but I'm sure it comes with its own set of obstacles, right? And we will get to those obstacles. But before we get there, I just want to provide a little bit more background for the people on you and what a day in the life is for you. So can you describe your ethnicity, and then also what your hometown is, or where your hometown is?
Yeah, so I am Afro-Latina. I am originally from Colombia. I was born in Bogota, Colombia, which is the capital, and I lived there until I was 12. But my dad is from the Caribbean part of Colombia, from Cartagena, which is the town, the land in Colombia where the first slaves were, African enslaved were brought to Colombia. So it's the whole waterline, the coast of Colombia, both the Caribbean and the Pacific side are very Black. And my parents met in the middle of both cities, in a city that is very mixed. And that's how me and my brother came out to be. And so we moved to the United States as a family about 14 years ago. So we are immigrants. We seek asylum because asylum is a right, it's not a crime. And I am a DACA recipient. I am one of those 700,000 dreamers that are fighting for our rights to be Americans, for our contribution to America, to be seen as such. And I lived in South Florida growing up. I went to a public school, and then went to college through high school. Do enrollment, that's how they called it. Where you do like at the same time college and high school. So I graduated with a political science associate degree, and then I went to Savannah College of Art and Design to study writing and service design as a minor. My brother also went there for industrial design. And then in Savannah, Georgia, and I did about 4 internships, and then I landed in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, in Greenville, Texas, in everywhere that you can think of, but you can find on the map. I was there, and then I landed a job at Amazon as a UX designer. That's how I started my career. Well, my internships were related to writing and tech, but then in Amazon, that's when I solidified on UX design, and from there to here, Bank of America. I'm very young, 27.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like I've been for a long time. I've just done a lot. I've just been doing a lot. That's it.
For sure. Yeah, that's cool. That's really dope because I am very interested in user experience and user design, and I'm familiar with SCAD, Savannah College of Arts and Design, because I went to college at the University of Georgia. That was my graduate degree. So I've been to Savannah plenty of times. I have friends there. It's a great place. And it's really cool that you work in this field now, and I get to talk to you. It's kind of like a treat for me as much as it is a treat for everybody else.
Thank you. No, it was fun. Savannah is a really interesting school. Is a glimpse on the diversity of opportunities, because I have friends who study fashion design, who study film, who study architecture, design. So, I mean, it was just like an eye-opening on all the possibilities that they were out there that a lot of people are not aware that you can have in the arts. And now that we are solely almost, I mean, our entire communications are mostly focused on this, right? On video chat, and we're so in necessity of deliveries to our home, and we rely so much on technology. I think a lot of people are realizing the importance of arts and how people were, and the shifting, right? Before, telling somebody, oh, I want to be an artist, was kind of like, you're going to be a homeless person. But now I want to be an artist means I want to be a designer, I want to be a musician, I want to be a coder, I want to be a graphic designer, I want to be whatever it is that you want to be in. And society is shifting their mentality and realizing that art is a necessity just as much as science or math.
Certainly, yes. Talk about it. That is one of the big reasons why I started this platform in the first place, was because I have nephews and cousins, and even when I was in like my sophomore year of high school to all the way through my sophomore year of college, really trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Everyone asking you the question, what do you want to do with your life? But no one giving you any answers, just telling you there's tons of things to do.
It's unfair to ask that question as a 17-year-old, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? Because I think the question is toxic. I think the question should be moved, should be changed. I think is, what do you want to do for the near future? I think that has a little more easiness to it, because I started as a writer, and my first internship was a content creator, and right now I'm a vice president of accessible technology. And I don't know where I'm going to be in the next 5 years. I have no idea. I don't know what I want to be in 10. True. We don't know. It's 2020. We don't know anything. I'm not certain about anything at all. And that's okay. And that is 100% okay. I think the question is not what you want to do with your life. It's like, what are your interests? What are you interested in doing? And then you find that I think that lightens the burden on trying to solidify your future when you're 17 and like you just learn how to drive. Now you want me to decide my whole life? It doesn't make sense. It should be shifted. That sentence, it should be shifted.
1000%. I agree. I think that, we should change that mentality and that culture. And hopefully this project will provide a resource for youth to see that there are a lot of things out there that I could be interested in, at least, and then do the research to figure out, what that's like. So thank you for being a part of that once again. So, working in user experience and making things easier and more accessible for us, can you share with us what a typical day in the life is like for you?
A typical day, a lot of emails. You have to answer a lot of emails. My day consists mostly of meetings to talk about the work that has to be done, and then at 5 I can actually do the work that I have to do. So my 9 to 5, at least for me, what's happening in my industry is not real. It's more of like a 7 till 10. That's kind of how it works. It breaks in between and stuff, workout and dinner and all that. But I'm busy. it's organized. It's a lot of projects, a lot of things that count on you, a lot of people that depend on your check mark to continue their work. A lot of things that fall on the crack, and somebody tells you, and you're like, oh shoot, I gotta send this email, and you gotta. But it's a lot of calls. You're just talking. I talk all day. That's pretty much what I do. I talk and listen all day. But I love it. It's fine.
Hey, for anybody out there who's listening and thinking, like, people tell me I talk a lot. Maybe there's a career for that. Maybe there is indeed, where you talk all day.
Design is a good career where you can talk a lot. If you don't know how to be a visual designer, then become a project manager, and then you can talk a lot too. Design is not just about visual. It is HR has to do with design, research has to do with design, writing has to do with design, content creators, project managers, program managers, managers in general of teams versus projects or programs. It's not just about visual, it's not just about coding. It's like a team. You need all of those pieces for things to go. For any app that you have on your phone, there is 100 different teams that work on that single app. For Amazon, we were one of 400 and something teams. It's a lot of people, and within search, there were a lot of people working Amazon search. So it was the main platform, the searching platform. And it was, if you think about the top part, that's one team. If you think about the bottom part, that's another team. You talk about the people, it's a lot of people that work in this industry. So don't think that it's only about visual or whether or not you know UX. Or don't you think that you have to know 100% UX or be the best at visual to be in design? I was not the best. My managers will 100% agree with me that visual design is not what I do. That's what I moved into. That was one big reason why I moved into accessibility, was because yes, it focused on visual design, but on guidelines of visual design, making sure color contrast is correct, making sure spaces are correct for people to be able to touch without like touching the wrong link by mistake. That's accessibility. But it is more than just that. So there is ways, there's avenues for you to do whatever it is that you want to do. If you're interested in design and you're just not good at that, that's fine. You don't have to be good at everything.
Oh, you are such a blessing, because there is so many times when I have touched the wrong link when I was not trying to. So thank you. That's an accessibility mistake,
because a lot of people, you might not have a tremor, but some people might have tremors or might have arthritis. So you need to make sure that there's sufficient space for people not to make those mistakes. That's what you think about it one way, and I always think about it on accessibility standpoint. But at the end, that's what I mean. Accessibility is for everybody, because it's just as much for somebody who has a tremor or is using an assisted technology as you by mistake pressing something because you have nails like I used to before everything closed down, or because you have a big thumb. It's just that all of those are basic and are valid when it comes to accessibility.
Yes, certainly. I know for me, it's always a situation of like tiny device, big hand. So trying to make this work is not the easiest thing in the world, but I appreciate people like you who are out here making it realistic for me to use these things.
You're welcome.
So I know you mentioned a little bit about your family history, and how that spurred you to kind of be inspired to do this. But what would you say are the things that really wake you up in the morning and get you out of bed and make you excited about user experience and making things more accessible for people? Because like you mentioned, it is a lot of work. You are working from, 7 to 10, things like long days. These are not average days for people. These are entrepreneurial style days. So what is it that gets you up in the morning and makes you excited?
There are many things actually that get me up and ready in the morning. Coffee is one of them. Very important. You see my coffee machine in the back.
Yes,
My
Colombian.
Colombian coffee, I have it. Yeah, that's one of them. But mostly is there's two things. There's two things that actually empower me. There is what I do at work, because I know it has direct ramification for 1.5 million population in the United States. I know that there is that what I'm doing has value and is needed and is also required. Two important things. So that is the work that I do. I actually love it. I'm happy when things like this happen. I started working in accessibility at Amazon as a junior designer, and the work that I did, the small teams that I created, the guidelines that I provided, everything that I did won me a prize, an inclusive Amazonian award. And I was the first Afro-Latina immigrant to win that award. So it's something that knowing that actually does matter and people see it and it makes an impact in people's lives, that gets me off bed. Even if one thing is not wanting to get out of bed because you're tired, and another one is not wanting to get out of bed because you don't want to do the job. I am tired, I'm sleepy, yes, whatever. But I'm still gonna get up. I still gotta show up, and do my part for society. But what also wakes me up in the morning is seeing these things like this. People who are making their own stamp in the world, kids who are learning about the economy and about entrepreneurship, or even not, or deciding that, hey, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I want to work for a company like I do and make that company work for many people. People that are learning about the government, the changes that are happening in the government, the laws that are passing, the Supreme Court decisions that every day they're best. People realizing their mistakes in society, the horrible, terrific things that are happening, and the shift that happens because of them. Those society in and of itself, justice, equity. That's also another incentive for me to get up in the morning, because what I do to allow people to do what they want to do with their money is directly correlating to Black wealth. And making sure that people can do what it is that they want to do and buy the properties that they want to buy and open the business that they want to open and send their kids to college and get the internship, because you need those banks to do those jobs. And disabilities affect the Black community. And because of the lack of resources in the Black community when it comes to assistive technology, a lot of people in the Black and brown community don't get to use the experiences that are out there, not just simply because they're not physically able to do it. And knowing that I am making sure that if you're blind and Black, you can open your account. If you're brown and have a physical disability, you can type or you can listen to the screen. That is just as related to the cause that we are all trying to do as anything else. And that's kind of like, this is how I do my part. This is my space. This is my protest.
It's so important what you just said there, is that this is my protest. Because especially in these times, as unfortunate as they are, but nothing new to me, but new to a lot of people, that everyone feels like you gotta be in the street. You gotta be out here with, signs and screaming and yelling and protesting. And that's great. I respect everybody who's done that. I've done that myself. But that's not the only way to make it work. There are other ways to have an impact. And what you just said is very key, is that you've made it even a point to where in your life, every day, you're making an impact.
And I also, I think that just being Black in America, being brown in America, being gay in America, being in the LGBTQA plus spectrum in America, being Asian in America, being Native in America is a protest in and of itself. It's a stand in and of itself. And any day that you wake up and you go to bed is a victory. It's a battle that you have won. And I respect and I appreciate everybody that has been on the streets. 100%. I wish I could be. I'm not allowed by law because my immigration status. But because of that, I'm doing my protest through code and through images. But I appreciate everybody who said, I'm going to go to college. That's your process. Or I'm going to open this business. That's your process. I'm going to do what I can do, where I can do. Anybody, if you're a barista and you're asking somebody what their pronouns is, that is your protest. That is your way to making this world a little better. You need all these pieces to happen. Protest is what is 100% needed, as well as somebody making sure that they say your right pronouns. It's the spectrum. It's all in the spectrum. And you need this part just as much as you need this and everything in between. So anybody who's young or old or physically unable to attend protests, just know that if you share a link or a message on Instagram, that's doing your part. If you're checking up on your neighbors, that's doing your part. If you're staying home and wearing a mask, that's definitely doing your part. So it takes the little bit of everybody, because not everybody can do everything. That's the whole point. That's why we have so many people, so that everybody can do a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. Please wear your mask, guys. We will say that one more time for those of you in the back. Please wear your masks.
Hitting the brown and Black community like nothing else. It's hitting us the hardest, and not just because of the precondition, the pre-health conditions that the community has, but because of racism even in and of itself, because the Bronx has the higher level of asthma, child asthma in the States, because Flint doesn't have water, because Detroit doesn't have water, because the Mississippi River is constructed nothing but oil plants and plastic plants that are polluting the air for Black and brown communities along the Mississippi River. So we know what is happening. We know that this pandemic is affecting our people even more. And this pandemic, along with racism and redlining, is affecting us even more. So what we have to do is just wear the masks.
I hear you, and as I've said this a lot, as a person who understands that in the Black and brown communities, sometimes we are the biggest skeptics. Well, I won't say sometimes. I will say oftentimes we are the biggest skeptics of things coming from the government, and rightfully so, based on the history that we've had with them. But as someone who's also technically trained in microbiology and infectious diseases, I will tell you to wear your damn mask. Like, wear your damn mask, please.
If everything is that they have said is correct, then I have worn my mask and I have stayed home and I have helped combat this pandemic. If they happen to be wrong, then the worst thing that happened is that I just had to wear a piece of fabric on top of my face. It's not that deep. It's really not that deep. And yes, a lot of people have our science is rooted in racism and slavery, especially on Black women. But this right here, wearing a mask, I think we can just all do it. I think that if it's not true, then you just wore a piece of fabric on your face.
You heard it from me, and you heard it from the professionals. So you do with that as you wish. But I think it's great that you make those points. And one of the questions that I always ask people, is what are a couple obstacles that you face in your career on a day-to-day basis? just because it's important for us to learn also about what you do and the great things about it. But it's also important for us to be vulnerable and be transparent about some of the struggles that we face.
Yeah, the allergies are kicking my butt lately. Allergies are kicking me. Now, right here, right now, the obstacles are very minimal. Right here, right now, in this moment that I am right now. But to get to this point, the obstacles have been heavy. Heavy, not of how big they were, but because of how much impact they had on me. Because as you can hear, I have an accent, and it's not gonna go away. But it was much thicker as when I was younger, and I was speaking much less English because I came here without speaking any English at all. And people equated my accent with my intellect, without realizing that I can actually speak double the amount of words, because actually at this point it's 4 times the amount of words, because it's 4 different languages that I can speak them. And so that was probably like one of the first, was people not realizing that I had the potential, based on just the way that my voice sounded. I had guidance counselors that asked, like when I was a kid and you're an immigrant, I don't know how it is in all the United States, but in Florida, they put you in this class called ESL, which is English as a Second Language. And because I was in South Florida, it was a lot of Latinos, Colombia, Venezuela, a lot of people from Haiti, and some people from Asia, the southern parts of Asia mostly. And after a year, I realized that I really wasn't learning how to communicate. I could translate very well, but I really couldn't keep up a conversation. And I was like, and something didn't feel right about that. And I've always been a very independent type of girl. My mom knows that. She will tell you that from a child. She didn't even like potty train me. One day I just went to the bathroom by myself. She knows that. That's just who I've been always as a child. So it wasn't going to change moving to the United States. So I went to my guidance counselor and I asked him if he could take me off of ESL and put me in regular class. And he was a Latino man. And he said no. He said that I wouldn't find people who understood me. And he didn't meant it as who spoke Spanish. He meant like understood my culture of who I was, or even my limitations, therefore. So he pretty much said like, stay comfortably where you are. What are you stepping out of this comfort zone? Kind of what my guidance counselor, who's not the person who's supposed to tell you to step out of your comfort zone, was telling me to stay in it. And I could see it, based on him being also a dad and probably having that, parental fear that parents have to protect their children, all that stuff. But at that point, it wasn't protection. It was injecting fear. He was injecting his fears into me. So I asked for a withdrawal form anyhow from the school, and I withdrew myself, thanks to my mom teaching me her signature from the school. And then I came home on Friday and I told Mom, sign me up in the regular school on Monday because you took me out. And for the next 6 months, I just walk around with a dictionary, because at that point, Google Translate didn't exist. So I walk around with a dictionary, kids, back in my day. And I didn't speak anything for like 6 months. We're just writing down. And that's how my love of writing started, because I had to write what I wanted to say, because I actually didn't know how to say it. And I started learning how to write before I learned how to speak. That's why my accent is stronger than my brother's, for example. And you forward a little bit more, some years after that in high school. When I started doing Roman and I started going to college, my first class that I wanted to take was public speaking, because I just like to do things. I just like to do things to myself that way. And I have braces, accent, 2.5 years of speaking English, and I'm sophomore in high school, in college. And the only Black person in that class too that I can think of, remember. And the first assignment was to write a speech on whatever you wanted on a topic, and I chose feminism. And the title of the speech, I will never forget it. It was "Learn to Wear the Pants Without Losing Your Heels," because I come from a culture that is very chauvinistic. Colombia is very macho man.
Yes.
And there was a lot of things that were like, you cannot do because you're a woman, you cannot do because you're a girl, or sit like a lady, or you gotta do this because you're a child, whatever. Everything was based on the fact of my gender, or the gender that I identify with. And that was my first speech, was you can do both. You can learn how to change a tire and wear heels at the same time. Like, you can wear lipstick and be a badass while you do it. You can be a crunkled woman and wear red lipstick and hoops. You don't have to, like AOC, you don't have to be in this mold. You can do whatever you want to do, regardless of how you look or how you act. And the professor, white lady, we're gonna call her Karen. She wrote a 0 in my paper, and she said, "I do not believe you wrote this."
Wow.
At that point, she only heard me speaking, so she equated my intellect with my accent. And
wow.
I went to the dean and I got an apology from her, publicly apology from her, because I proved to the dean. I brought him all the papers where I had started the first sentence, cross it off, started again, cross it off, and how I did my whole paper that way. So I got what I got, not the revenge, I got what I deserved for the work that I did. But things like that were kind of like the little bumps in the road that I got, that where I have to not prove to others, but prove to myself that I was worth it, or that who I was or who I wanted to be was indeed what somebody like me could attain. It's not based on your ideas of what my success should look like. It's all entirely up to me what my success is going to look like. And I'm going to create my guidelines of my own life. And that's kind of like what I have been able to use as a propeller, obstacles as propellers to keep pushing me to go forward. And every time somebody tells me no or give me some type of my progression, I've been able to use that as, rather than, oh, let me show you, is let me show myself that what you're saying is not true. And so far, I'm doing good.
Ooh, strong woman. I love talking to strong women, and I think that story is just amazing. It's so exciting to hear. A couple of things that I wanted to unpack there. Some of the experience that you've had. I do not share that same experience, right? I've had small glimpses of that. I've worked in ESL environments. I've worked with DACA recipients. I've been to Spanish-speaking countries and lived there and tried to find my way with no phone, no Google Translate, just a dictionary, like you said, walking around trying to figure stuff out. And it's tough. It's tough. And to be discredited, one, in your own community as a female, but then going out into the world and being discredited again as an Afro-Latina is tough. And that's a lot of walls to come up against. But to see you come through those and to hear that story, I think is really impactful. And I know this is going to make a huge splash with a lot of young boys and girls, especially, in their life where they are, because your story probably sounds just like a lot of theirs. You look just like they do. And I think this is going to be such a great episode. And I'm so happy to put it out there, just because it's such a wonderful story. And once again, I just want to give you so much kudos for going out and being this courageous, doing these things.
Courage is the most important thing that you can have. Consistency comes from courage. Discipline comes from courage. Hope comes from courage, which is very hard to have hope sometimes. I think courage is the most important thing that you can have, because what other thing will tell you to not listen? Or what other thing will tell you to keep on going if it's not courage? Sometimes you don't have the support of family. I have the support of my family and my brother, who are like my, they're my safe net. When it comes to just, they know my value, or they just like my mom, she just let me fly. My dad works to support, and he worked to support us growing up. So he was working most of the time, and my mom was, she worked, but she was more in the house. And she was like, go. You want to go to school? Go. I'll pick you up and drop you off to college, and let's go. And my brother was there to teach me how to budget when I first started working, because that's something that we weren't taught. That's some of that white privilege knowledge that is being reserved for a lot of people, how to budget. And I'm able to share it now with my cousins now that they're in high school, college, and like working while in college. And he helped me do my resume and stuff like that. I do have that support, but if you don't have it, you only need yourself. I tell people that you need to jump and learn how to fly as you fall. And it just comes from courage.
Ooh, that gave me chills. That was a word right there, y'all. That was a word. You just heard it. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. And I share in a lot of pieces of those stories myself. My parents didn't have a lot of money. My dad was always working multiple jobs. My mom was working and trying to take care of 3 kids at the same time. And it's a lot. I didn't have any financial skills given to me. I had to teach myself how to budget. I didn't have any role models out there that looked like I do. So I had to figure it out on my own. And it's great to, identify with somebody else who's had a similar experience. And that's what I'm hoping that the youth will be able to do with this, is they'll be able to identify with you or me or whichever professional is on here.
And the good thing is that this new generation coming up, like my cousin, the oldest one is 21, and it goes down from there. So it's generation, she's technically a millennial, but not really. She's on the older, the extreme. She's
Gen Z.
Yeah, she's Gen Z by nature. It's like if you were born in 89, like my brother, he's not from the 80s. He's in the 90s. It just happened, But this new generation has the ability to see people that do look like them. We have a Latina, a mixed Latina in Congress that sounds like me sometimes, but she lets out the Latino Boricua accent when she's mad. She wears hoops like I do at work. They were able to see a Black president, but most importantly, they're able to see Black doctors, Black engineers, Black designers. They have people in the music industry that are moguls, that are not just artists, but businessmen and business owners. They have Beyonce. They have right now this generation coming up is seeing that the world is not as small as they try tell us it was. I'm very thankful of technology and social media, and the internet for showing them the world that they can actually live in, and what they can experience, and what is theirs by nature, but just existing. They can look at the pyramids and say, hey, those were my ancestors who built that. They can, know that there were militants and people that fought for their freedoms. There were slaves that freed themselves and free their families, and they can actually read about that and watch the videos and look at the pictures. And it's even if I grew up not seeing any Black Latina in Colombia growing up, there was one very small character in the original Ugly Betty, which started in Colombia. She was gorgeous, and I think we had a Miss Colombia in like 90 something that was Black, but that was about it. I didn't grow up with seeing any politician, any doctors. I was one of 3 Black girls in a 5,000 kids like girls' school.
Wow.
So I didn't see myself growing up at all. I had to learn how to cut my own hair and what to do, what products to use, and
yes.
Because when I went to a salon, they did not. I was like, I'm learning. Thank you, Mom. I'm going to do it. I had to learn that sunscreen is necessary for skin too, because that was another myth that we had. I had to learn a lot of things on my own. So I'm very happy right now that these kids are able to, just as much as they're on TikTok dancing, which is fantastic. I love it. They're also on TikTok watching other young people, teaching them math and teaching about laws. And there's this is the generation that is more in tune with politics than ever before. And they're registering to vote like crazy. And they're talking to the parents about racism. And like publicly, it's like that never happened when I was young, and it's only one generation apart. So I can't even imagine what's gonna happen when my kids have kids, or whenever my kids come, or what's gonna happen from here on, because the veil has been lifted. We're not just our story did not begin in slavery. Our story did not end just with slavery. It's a lot of good stuff that are coming in this new generation, and I love the fact that with this type of platform, they're able to see a Black Latina with an accent who happens to have a VP title next to her name, but who also know what it is to fill out the free or reduced lunch form, or take public school, or go to a library and get a free library card and rent DVDs because she didn't have cable. That's the same Laura that comes from Broward, Florida. And if anybody knows what Sunrise Broward is, then you understand when I say Broward. That's all I need to say. And right now is in her own house that she financed herself. These are the really great things. That's what I like being in these talks, because I want people to know that, you can be and come from wherever you come from, and still, have what you have, and buy the car that you want to buy, and buy the face creams that you want to buy, and listen to the music that you want to buy, and dress the way that you want to dress, and have the tattoos that you want to have, and none of that matters, because it's all about who you are. It's all about who you are. That's it.
Hey, I mean, you heard it right here. Y'all can't ask for anything more from this woman. She's giving you all of the nuggets, all of the wisdom, all of the experience, being vulnerable with you guys. So I hope you're paying attention. You're locked in. Now we're almost done here. In these last couple minutes, I just want to ask you two last questions. The first being, you've already alluded to a little bit some misconceptions that people have about you. But what would be one that you would say people have about you and your career potentially, or just your journey that you've had thus far? And then the second question that I want to ask you is, what would be some advice that you would give to a young Black or brown youth that wants to follow in your footsteps or wants to pursue a career that's similar to yours?
Yes. Okay. So for your first question, the misconception that people have is that I am lucky, because luck has nothing to do with it, or that I just went after the opportunities, because that's also another fallacy. Opportunities are not out there. Opportunities are not out there for everybody. A lot of it sometimes has to do with who you know, and who knows what you know, and who knows your family, and who knows the pocket behind your family, and your last name. A lot of that has to do with that. Sometimes it has to do with it. But it's definitely not about luck. This was not. I didn't fall into this. This was born from sweat and tears, and I busted my ass to get to the place that I am, and I'm busting my ass today to get to the place that I'll be in 5 years. Is never about chances. I think people talking about luck like that, they're talking from a place of privilege, and most of the time it's white privilege. Because it's like, oh, I just happen to have this opportunity, and the majority of people don't happen to have this opportunity. The majority of people have to really go out and get it, and sacrifice, and forget sleep, and work 2 jobs, and work full time in college, and working full time in a restaurant like I did. So it's not about luck. It's about hustling, 100%. And for people who want to follow in my footsteps, don't be afraid to point out something that you see that is missing, because that's how I got into this space. At Amazon, I noticed that we were missing some guidelines for accessibility. And I asked, why were we missing guidelines for accessibility? And what can I do to fix it? Because that's the thing. If you point something out, you gotta be prepared to go out and fix it.
Yes.
That's 100%. So if you really want to be in a position of power, or if you really want to be the manager, or you want to be the senior whatever, or you want to be the principal whatever, you gotta know that you're gonna have to work. That is just, if you're just gonna have to work. At least in this space where I'm at in technology, you're gonna have to work. And if you see something that is wrong, you're gonna have to work at it until it's perfect. Which means you're gonna have to work at it for a long time, because things are not perfect by day. So just be prepared to, trouble on and get going. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's so worth it. Because at the end of the day, I have worked really hard, and I know that, hey, man, I'm gonna rent this movie that I want to watch because I have earned my right to pay $3.99 for it. I'm gonna buy the face mask that I want because I have worked for that. So it's all about, to me, it's all about the small pleasures. I'm able to sustain my family through this pandemic, both here and my grandparents in Colombia. And that to me matters everything. Along with my brother, we're both doing that for our parents. That to me is like the good thing that come from this hustling. I'm able to donate to causes. I'm able to have a say in this company and tell them, hey, what are we doing about this? What are we doing about that? Where is our support for these people? Where is our guidelines for this? It comes, a lot of good things come from hard work. A lot of great things come from hard work. a lot of your names appears in a lot of places where it wouldn't otherwise, unless you put in the work. Because it's nothing that lasts comes easy. A lot of people have really success right now, and then you don't hear from them, like designer. But the people who that have put in their work and paid their dues and actually, follow up and hustle, those are the people that you can look at the trajectory and see, wow, they've done a lot of things. And that's kind of like, what I want to tell the kid, just keep hustling, man. It's not about good things happen to those who wait. Don't wait for it. Just go for it.
Yeah, I say that all the time. You got to chase after it for you. You have to pray, of course, if you're religious, but if, prayer is not going to make the action happen. You got to make that action happen, and you got to be the one to get after it. And I mean, you really said it best. So I don't want to add any salt, any sugar, anything to what you said. I feel like you've been on it. You've been honest. And most importantly, you've been real. And I really appreciate you coming on the platform.
No, thank you. I'm hoping that there is a Black girl who has an accent that can see me and know that she can also be her own thing and do her own stuff and doesn't have to assimilate or diminish herself to fit into nothing else. You don't. It's time is up. If there was ever a time to do and be who you want to be, it's right now and from here on. And if I might add something to the kid, don't diminish yourself prior to anybody ever doing it. If put yourself out there on social media, reach out to people on LinkedIn, reach out to me, ask them questions about their, be smart about questions, right? People are busy, but ask them questions about what they can do, what you can do, apply for those internships. Even if you don't think you're qualified, I applied to a lot of internships that I wasn't qualified for, and I got them just because of what I was as a person and what I wanted to do. And a lot of people look for requirements, but they look for people, because you can teach skills. You can teach skills, and you can learn tools, but you cannot learn character. A lot of people, companies are looking for character of people. So just go at it, jump, learn how to fly, how to fall.
But you guys heard it first there. That has been Miss Laura Silva, and she has blessed you all with not only her presence, but her wisdom and her knowledge and her journey. So we thank you once again. Are there any last second shout outs that you want to give? Shout out to the moms, the pops. Are there any products or things you want to plug?
Shout out to every undocumented kid who's out here struggling and fighting for us to become citizens. I am one of you, and I am with you. So stand with DACA, everybody.
Hey, we right here with you, and we support you. So thank you again. And now I will look to the camera, as I always do, and remind y'all to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, because we want to provide you with the exposure and the representation that you deserve. There are faces and stories out there that mimic yours, and there are careers that you probably don't even know exist, and we're trying to bring those right to your faces. So let us know in the comments, did you like what you heard today? Was there anything that really stood out? Are there careers that you're interested in hearing about? I will personally get on LinkedIn and go find and contact those persons, just like I contacted Miss Laura here. So I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. I will do that on your behalf to try to get you that information. And, it doesn't even have to be about that. Just drop us a comment and let us know what you think about the video. Do you like my tie? Do you like her hair? Do you like my hair? Do you like her shirt? If you want to know where she got her shirt from, ask. I will find out. We will reach out for you.
Business on Etsy.
There you go. Plug it again one more time for him.
Small Black business on Etsy.
There it is, right there. So see, it's that simple. Ask and you shall receive. But with that, we want to thank Miss Laura again, and we are out.